And ethics is the thrust or the desire or the push towards the greatest level of survival possible. Okay? And you learn it's not just your own personal survival, but it's the greatest level of survival is the survival of everybody. So you sublimate yourself. So you're supposed to survive, you're supposed to push for survival, optimum survival of self, optimum survival of sexual partner and children. That's why they hate they hate gays, right? Because they don't procreate. In the Sea Organization, you are not allowed to have sex outside of marriage, right? And that's just a rule, okay? Hubbard's quite strange on sex, by the way. He really is. He's got quite an odd, twisted view on sex. But part of the outcome of his view on sex is that he suppresses sex. He really suppresses sex in people, right? And the Sea Org, he's able to, because of this system that it is, completely confining system, he's able to control people so much more. And so if you've done something, like let's say I slept with someone outside of marriage, okay, that's a bad overt, right? So it's an overt act, an overt contra-survival act, right? If I masturbate, it's an overt act. It's a bad act because it affects, it's supposed to affect something. I don't know what it's supposed to affect actually, but there's some theory that it's supposed to key in or bring in aspects of the reactive mind if you masturbate, you see, and thus cause you to not be as clear as you might be. Okay, so you get suppression on your sex, just the sexual urge, okay? If you didn't do a job properly, or I don't know, let's say I didn't want to have to file all those big pile of papers, right? So what I did was I just chucked a whole bunch of some folders and hid the folders, right? That would be an overt, it's a bad act against the group, but also it is a withhold now, because it's something I'm withholding. So something evil that I have done that I'm withholding, okay? So, and then there is hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these overts and withholds that maybe you might have just done without thinking about, you see? So part of the process that you're doing then, I was doing then in examining why I was having problems being on staff, was I had to look at my overts and withholds. It's bad to leave staff. Why is it bad to leave staff? Well, the only good thing on the planet is the Sea Org and Scientology. The only hope the planet has is the Sea Org and Scientology. Okay, that's the premise. So if you want to go away from it, you must have done something bad. And we must find out what you are doing bad. So we can deal with this and then rehabilitate your desire and your enthusiasm for staying within the Sea Organization. Right? And so these are self-examinations, or they're done as interrogation style, right? But you have to keep on, you have to write it in a very specific formula, which is, so if I am disclosing my overts and withholds to the ethics person, okay? So I've studied all these Hubbard policies about the dynamics, right? And about, well, let's say in the sex, he's got a policy called pain and sex, and saying that sex is an artificial wavelength, he says, yeah, that is implanted by the evil galactic psychiatric force, yeah, in the person in order to weaken his power. Okay, so you have to buy this idea. You have to, because Hubbard said it, it's true. KSW says that the only truth is Hubbard. That's what KSW, Keeping Scientology, says, right? So when you see Tom Cruise on that video, he actually says it. He says, KSW, the only truth is Scientology, right? This is, any Scientologist has got to buy into this, 100%. So okay, obviously I'm constantly trying to squeeze my thinking into these parameters, constantly. But anyway, so there you are. So I'm writing down my overts and withholds, which the formula is time, place, form, and events, right? Time, when it was done, place, exact time, the exact moment. You have to get the exact moment, the exact place you were, right down to the chair, the position of the chair. Form, the exact arrangement of things around it, the exact stuff that was happening, an event, and what was actually done, right? So you have to vividly bring all this stuff together and recall it. And then he says if you do that, you will get what's called as-isness, which is you've made a duplicate in your mind of exactly what happened, and it will disappear, it will blow. There is a theory, which we call theory in the real world, it's a truth in Hubbard's world, that there's this thing called charge, right? When charge is a negative, call it negative current, electrical current, right? I forget the exact words that Hubbard used for it, but if you do something bad, there's this kind of negative current, right? So if you're upset by something, it's a negative current, right? And if you do, and the charge, this negative current, will read on the E-meter. Okay? So you've got this idea now of an E-meter, which is this little device that you're connected up to. It runs a little current through your body to this device, and it's being read by somebody over there. Okay? So if you're gotten upset about something, or angry about something, or withholding something, it reads on the meter because it's charged. The idea is that the power is being run through your body, and the spirit, the charge is heavy, so it's putting weight and resistance into the current, which is causing the needle to do something on the E-meter, right? So, whatever about the truth of that, if you think it works, it works. Seems to be the case. So, if I've got a withhold, the needle on the meter, I think it's supposed to be stuck, or something like that, or just doing something like that. And then if you as-is it, if you make the exact duplicate of it in your mind, and it goes away, the needle frees up and begins to float. Okay? So this is actually, I mean this happens, okay? Why it happens, I'll try and kind of make some sense out of that later on, but this is actually what happens. So I believe it happens, so it happens. Maybe it's that simple. So I've written up all my overts and withholds, let's say, for that day, and then I have to have this meter check at the end of the day on this is program I'm doing, this leaving. See, I must be doing something wrong because I want to leave a Sea Org. I must be doing something wrong because I want to leave Scientology, so there must be something bad. Yeah? So the idea is, it's not anything else. There is no other truth. The only truth is Scientology. There's nothing like I'm actually thinking about the real world. I'm actually thinking real thoughts. No. I did something bad because I want to leave. And so the ethics officer's job, the HCO person's job, is to find out what I'm doing bad, or what I'm thinking is bad, or what I did was bad. And it could be way, way, way back, right? But anyway, you're confined, you're put under pressure, you are watched, and you're enforced to do things, and you're interrogated daily. And part of you gets the idea that the only way out is to agree with the people. So, for some reason you disclose, let's say you disclose something that I was embarrassed about for when I was a child, or young, maybe a young teenager, and young teenagers get up to all kinds of wonderful sexual experiments, don't they, So let's say I'm saying one where, with my cousin, and, we had a little sex thing, and I was terribly, because I'm a Catholic, I was very embarrassed about that, of course, and I was very like, and I'd always kind of felt this was a really bad thing. I've never dealt with it as an issue, it was there. And so I disclose that to the person. Well, of course, all of a sudden it's out there, and it's like, oh wow, a sense of, I've disclosed this thing. And I go, isn't Scientology wonderful? Right?